Hi everyone! My name is Opal. It's really nice to meet you. I'm a 2D Vtuber, and I figured out how to rig hands. So I want to teach you this so you too can rig hands for your own 2D Vtuber model. This video series did take a lot of time and work for me to make, so if you do find it useful, it would mean a lot to me if you could like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as follow me on Twitch. Also, to stay up to date on my future projects, as well as when I stream, feel free to join my Discord channel as well. I'll put a link in the description below for both my Twitch page and Discord channel for your convenience. Okay, so we have finished the movement of the hand, the arm, and the shoulder, and everything's looking really good. So all we're missing now is the toggle that helps the program recognize when the hand is available and moving, and when it is not. I'm going to show you how to do this. First, we need to locate the two deformers that are responsible for the hand, which is here, and the arm, which is here. So what I want you to do is select the two deformers that are responsible for the hand and the arm, and we're going to create a new rotation deformer. And we're going to call this hand right found rotation. Create. So now both of these deformers are under this one rotation deformer. Move it to around the same spot where the elbow deformer was. You can see kind of like a line right here. Move that to the pretty much the exact same spot if you can. So it's about there. And what this will do is it'll just move the entire arm and hand in one fell swoop. Okay, so next what I want you to do is locate the folder where it has the entire hand right down and arm right down. That is just so when we do the toggle, we can see what we're working with. So for the forearm and hand right down, I want you to open up all these little folders. Okay, that's good. And I want you to select only the parts that pertain to the forearm and the hand. Okay, so that's starting here. These are all the fingers. And here we go. So I press and hold Shift, and all of that is selected. Make sure you do not select the upper arm, because that's not what we're working with. And then create a rotation deformer, and we're going to call it hand right not found rotation. Create. And we are going to use the control button on our keyboard and put it similar to the spot where the hand right found rotation is. And then we're just going to point it downwards here. Okay, so we have these two deformers set up. Now we're going to work on rigging the actual toggle for when the hand is recognized and when it disappears. We're first going to click on this deformer, the hand right not found rotation. Click on the hand right found parameter. Select three keyforms. So this 0 is already done. And then what I want you to do is take the red dot, put it to the middle, and we are going to move the arm just so it is about here. I know it's looking really weird and behind the body. We're going to fix that in a second. And then what I want you to do is bring it here once again. Control Shift C, and then Control-Shift-V once you're on the 1. And now you kind of have this motion. Now let's deal with the fact that it is behind the body. So I want you to select everything under this deformer. So what I do is I press and hold Shift until everything's selected. Go to Modeling, Parameter, Multiple Keys Editing, Additive, and let's do positive 100. Okay. Now everything is in front of the body. Next, we're going to do the hand right found rotation deformer. So same thing, select that deformer, select the hand right found, and 3 keyforms here. The 1 is already done. So I want you to move it to the middle here, and then bring it to the middle so it is as close to the same as the hand right down at this point. And then I want you to press Control-Shift-C. Bring it all the way down to 0, and then Control-Shift-V. So now it looks a little bit strange, but now we're going to deal with the refining just so when the toggle is triggered, this part disappears when the hand is recognized, and when the hand is no longer recognized by the camera, this part disappears. Click on the hand right found rotation, click on the hand right found parameter, and we're going to select this box here. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a new keyform, and we're going to do 0.49. Press OK. And then make sure that keyform is selected, 0.49. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the opacity to 0. And we're going to bring this dot all the way to 0 and do the exact same thing. Make it 0 opacity. Okay, that looks good. We're going to do the exact same thing with the hand right not found rotation deformer. Click on the parameter, and we're going to click this box. This time we're going to create a keyform at 0.51. Press OK. Again, make sure that one is selected, 0.51. And we're going to change the opacity to 0. Bring the red dot all the way to +1 here. Put the opacity to 0 once again. And now you have a very fluid motion for when the hand is recognized and when it is not. Next, we're going to work on the upper arm and the cloth part for when the hand is recognized and it is not recognized. Let's first focus on when the hand and arm is up and recognized by the camera. So I want to select all of the deformers or all the pieces that pertain to the arm when it is moving, as well as the clothing piece. So I'm going to find this piece. Okay, there it is there. So I'm going to select this deformer right here, as well as the deformer that contains the upper arm piece when it is moving and recognized. And we're going to create another deformer. We're just going to call it hand right found upper arm details. You can call it whatever you want as long as it makes sense. Create. Okay, so now that this is created, what we want to do is click on this parameter here, 3 keyforms, click this box, create a new keyform at 0.49, press OK. Make sure it is selected, so 0.49. And what we're going to do is we are going to change the opacity to 0. And we're going to do the exact same thing when it is right here. Change the opacity to 0. Next, we're going to do the exact same thing for the forearm and hand that is down. Right now, the t-shirt for the for the arms down is not visible, so I'm just going to make that piece visible. So there it is there. And I'm going to change the draw order for that to be +1. There we go. So that should be good. And I'm gonna locate the upper arm as well as the t-shirt sleeve that pertains to the right arm down. So I believe that's this piece here and this piece here. So select both of these. We're going to create a new rotation deformer, and we're going to call it hand right not found details. Oops. Hand right not found details. It really doesn't matter what you call it as long as it makes sense to you. Create. Now everything is assigned under this one deformer, and we're good to go. You can adjust the deformer if you want. It really doesn't matter because this is again only adjusting the opacity. Click on this deformer, click on the hand right found, 3 keyforms, click on this box, new keyform at 0.51, press OK. Make sure that is selected, 0.51 just to make sure. And we're going to change the opacity to 0. Bring this all the way to +1 and change the opacity to 0. And it looks good. Now we have completed the toggle for the hand right found. Now that we have fully rigged the right arm, when it's recognized, all the fingers, when it is not recognized, it would be a shame with all of this hard work already done if we had to rig the left arm and do the exact same thing, and it wouldn't even look symmetrical. So what I'm going to show you is how to copy and paste and flip all of your work from your right arm and move it to the left arm. To do this, we need to put all of our deformers under one large deformer. So I'll show you what I mean. Make sure you just close everything just so you can see everything that's available. Okay, that looks good. So it looks like these 4 deformers are the top ones in the hierarchy. Select all of these. We're going to create a new deformer. I'm just going to make it a rotation. It really doesn't matter. And we're just going to call it right arm. Okay, so that's good there. And what this will do is it'll help us differentiate between the right arm and the left arm once it's copied and pasted. So before we copy everything that we have to go and maximize every single little deformer. And this can be a little bit of a pain if you have a lot of deformers and physics assigned to the right arm. But for some reason, if you don't do this and you copy the right arm and paste it, it will not capture all of the work that you've done. So make sure that absolutely every single piece is open and maximized. Okay, so now that you've maximized absolutely everything, click on the bottom part, press and hold Shift and click the top. And what that has done is that has selected everything pertaining to the right arm, as well as all of the physics and settings and everything that you've done with your parameters for the right arm. Now what you need to do is Control C. Now be very careful, you've copied absolutely everything, and this may take some time for your computer to load depending on the strength of your computer. And now do Control V. So this may take some time, it's thinking. Okay, now don't move, don't do anything. Everything here that's selected now will now be our left arm. So what you want to do is click on this right here. I know it says right arm, but this is the piece that we've copied. So we're going to, in the inspector window, change this to left arm. So now we have a left arm and we have a right arm. And you can further see this by when I minimize everything, there's a left arm and right arm. Now that we have copied and pasted the right arm to turn it into the left arm, I want you to select this deformer here, and I want you to go all the way down to the bottom. Make sure that everything is maximized. Press and hold Shift, click the bottom. So now we've fully selected only all the items contained within the left arm deformer. Nothing within the right arm deformer is selected. Once that's selected, go here, right click with your mouse, click Reflect, and then make sure Reflect Horizontally is selected, and press OK. So now this arm is reflected. You can click this deformer just to deselect everything, just so you can get a better view. And make sure you have the left arm deformer selected. Bring this all the way to 0. And what we're going to do is we're just going to move this deformer so it is very close in line with the other arm that we have set up. You can bring this back to 1 so we can see both of the hands moving. Everything's still good. The integrity is kept. The only thing now is, since we have copy and pasted our work, we no longer need the arm that wasn't rigged before, so this bottom part and the upper part. So you have two choices. You can either locate it, and you can just use the eyes here to turn it off and on, or you can just delete it altogether. To save space or to minimize the size of your file, I recommend that you delete it, but it is up to you. For this tutorial, I'm just going to delete it. Okay, so when I was playing around with all these parameters, just double checking that everything has been copied nicely, you notice that there's some fingers that kind of appear back here. And I don't know why the heck that happened. If this didn't happen to you, you can completely ignore this next step. But I just want to show those of you that, if this happened to you, what to do and how we can get rid of them. So what I do is I just move the hand kind of out of the way just so I can see them. And I click on the art piece just to kind of locate where it is. And it looks like all of these pieces are those fingers. So I don't know why that happened, but we can just go ahead. You can either use this eye and just make the pieces disappear. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete all of these because they are not required for our rig, and it will decrease the size of our model if we do that. Okay, now that that's done, make sure you move the arm around just to make sure there isn't any other stray pieces that don't belong. And if there's not, then we're good to go and move on to the next step. Okay, so now that everything looks like it is neat, tidy, ready to go, and moving correctly, and all of the settings on our parameters are copied over, what we need to do next is make separate parameters for the left arm that are very similar to the right arm, just so when the left hand is recognized, it will be recognized separately from the right hand, because at the moment, once the camera recognizes the right arm, it'll also move the left arm, and we don't want that. We want it to be absolutely separate. You will notice that we already have a hand left found parameter set up. We're going to do the exact same thing for the hand position parameters, hand angles parameters, and the fingers parameters. So there's an easy way to do this. Click on the hand right position X, right click, replicate parameters, and now you'll have an exact copy. But we don't want an exact copy, we need to edit it just a little bit, so right click again, click edit parameter, and right now it says hand right position X, change that to hand left, caps lock, make sure you don't have caps locked, left position X, copy and paste. Now again, it is extremely important that you use the ID that I'm showing you here for this parameter, or else Live 2D will not recognize it in the program and it will not work correctly. Press OK. I'm going to do the same thing for the Y. Replicate, edit, left, copy, paste, OK. And I'm just going to move it. That looks good. Same thing for the hand angles. Replicate, edit, left, copy, paste, OK. Replicate, edit, left, copy, paste, OK. Replicate, edit, so you'll notice a common theme. We're keeping the name and ID pretty much the same thing as before. We're just changing it from right to left. Okay, just a few more. Okay, next step is we're going to take all of the settings for the parameters that belong to the left hand, and we're going to take those and put them instead on the parameters that belong to the left hand and arm. So what you need to do is for the left arm, make sure you select absolutely everything. So everything's selected, and we're going to go through this one at a time. So we're going to start with the hand right found. We are going to select it. Okay, make sure this arrow appears, so when you hover over it, you can select change. So right now, all the settings are assigned to the right, so we're gonna find the hand left found, which is the one up here, and press OK. Okay, so now the hand right found is moving separately to the hand left found. Same concept applies for the rest of these. You'll have to make sure everything is selected. Click on the parameter you want to change. And find the left hand or left arm version. So it is moved there. And just go along and do this for each parameter. Okay, so it looks like everything copied correctly. Now what you need to do is you can deselect these. You can just click this deformer. What I want you to do is you can connect these. Oops. And then just make sure that everything moves on its own, separate from each other, and does not affect the other arm or hand. And it looks like everything has copied over and we're good to go. Before we move on, when I was playing around with the parameters, I noticed that there's like this little t-shirt piece that's kind of peeking out. So as you can see, when I move the left arm, it kind of peeks into view. So what you can do is you can locate it, and you can either turn that off or you can delete it. As long as when you move this parameter, nothing looks like it's greatly affected, then you can just go ahead and delete it. Another thing I've noticed is now that we have a better view of the shoulder, there's a little bit of a lip here, and that's something we need to fix before we move on. When the arm moves, everything looks okay, but we can fix this by utilizing glue. I'm not going to go into heavy detail how to fix it, just follow along as best as you can. As I understand, most of you may not be using this asset, and you may be using your own, so you may not have this exact problem, or yours may be worse than what I have here. So I'm just going to show you how I repair it, and follow along as best you can. Okay, so just to quickly summarize what you just saw, I know it happened really fast and it may not make sense. So essentially what happened was, if we go into here, so I manipulated the mesh just so it kind of hid the lip that we were seeing, and I moved the dots around until we didn't see that lip anymore. This does require patience and some skill, as well as some familiarity with glue and practice. So really it's trial and error. That's why I couldn't really describe in much detail what I was doing. So just be patient with yourself, study up on glue before attempting this, and it should be something that's a little bit more easier to understand once you have done that. Now we have reached the point where we have a fully rigged right and left hand and arm, and they each will move on their own separate parameters, and they will each separately be picked up by VTube Studio when it recognizes your right or left hands.